And just so people understand that when you work for on a site like Upwork and you do an assignment, Upwork keeps a portion of the money you earn.
Right, that's the way that they make their money. So
Right.
let's say you bid on a job and you say, I'll do this job for $100. Well, what Upwork does is they tack on a 10% fee on top of that. So when the client accepts your bid, they're accepting a bid of $115, say, and when you complete that job and the client pays, the way it works is in essence is Upwork pays the funds into the Upwork system when the job is complete, and then Upwork pays you the $100 that you bid on the job. So that's functionally how it works.
And there are some sites I've come across where they try to sort of charge you to join the network, and I'm not so sure that's sort of the best way to do it.
Right, I would agree. Is that most networks, all of these here that I've recommended, you can join for free, or a charge that's $10 to $15 a month. On the Upwork system, for example, you can join for free, but if you pay that $15 a month, you get to see the bidding ranges on the jobs that you're bidding, and that really helps you sort of calibrate the part of your brain that does bidding, and we have a lot of guidelines and recommendations around that. But seeing the bids is very valuable, the amount of the bids as you're looking at a particular job, and that helps you formulate your pricing strategy and helps you get comfortable with what sort of pricing strategy you're going to use on these systems.
Right. And so, what are some of the best ways that you can find freelancing opportunities, and what are people looking to do mainly when it comes to freelancing?
Well, there's, I tell people to look at freelancing like an appetizer tray. And when you start freelancing, you want to go in and find jobs that you could do almost in your sleep, like proofreading. It might be editing. It might be creating a PowerPoint. It might be doing emails, customer support, which of course is that fits your own schedule. So if you've got a schedule where you can get online once a day for an hour, that's a good example of that kind of job. And then there's a host of advice giving jobs. If you have advice or knowledge to impart of one kind or another, there's lots of those kind of jobs in there as well. And I suggest people try out 2 or 3 different kind of jobs. Your first half dozen to dozen jobs that you do, you want to be jobs that take no more than 1 to 2 hours. A big mistake is people go in and they chase bigger jobs. And on these networks, the networks want to assure that you have a track record of successfully delivering jobs for their clients. And so they monitor your progress. That's a big value that these networks provide to the freelance buyer, is they're able to say, yeah, this freelancer is keeping our people happy. And then other freelancers want to have you bid on their jobs. And this whole idea of successfully completing jobs is important. And you as a freelancer can choose, do I want to do one job for $3,000, or do I want to do a dozen jobs for $50 over the next month, and get my recommendation score in essence in the system, so that people are coming to me instead of me having to go out and find every job I bid on.
And these types of jobs we're talking about, that's great for people who want to travel, because it's sort of, you can do this from pretty much anywhere you can find an internet connection, these kind of
Right,
jobs.
right. These jobs are typically what we would call time shifted jobs, meaning that you don't have to be in real time collaborating with somebody on these jobs. They say, proofread this document and have it back to me in 3 days would be a typical kind of thing that you would see. And so whether you're a night owl or a morning person, or whether you're traveling and, have a little time when you're changing planes or whatever it might be, you can weave that assignment into your life very easily.
Right, right. And are there any types of software that you use that sort of help you in your day as a freelancer that would help other people as well?
Yes, there's some great software. I mean, the software that we're using now is called Zoom. And one of the things that we know about freelancing is the better sense you have of your client and your client has of you, the more likely they are to continue doing business with you. And when we're working just over the phone, we just hear kind of the audio part of it. We don't get a, a complete picture of who we're dealing with. As human beings, we've evolved. We like to look at people's facial expressions as we're having a conversation, and Zoom has just revolutionized that world. And so that's an example of something people would want to get comfortable with, and it's a free service to a very low rate kind of service. Another tool is called Grammarly, and this is a tool that sort of sits on your computer and watches all your emails and looks at your documents and tells you when you're not only making spelling errors but incomplete sentences and that kind of thing. And a big part of being a freelancer is showing up in a professional way, and this helps keep you from making kind of foolish mistakes, simple mistakes on your email correspondence and that kind of thing. And it's a really valuable tool. Then the third one, and there's probably 20 that I use in a month, because now my freelancing is fairly complex. But there's a system called Trello, TRELLO.com, and that's a project management system that's a little bit like 3x5 cards on a bulletin board. It's a very sophisticated but simple to understand project management system, and that's something that helps freelancers stay organized across different clients, and that's a very important thing. You can have a board, for example, for each client with the 3x5 cards up there, so you're sort of tracking things for different clients, and you can put in due dates and reminders and that kind of thing.
Right. And I guess the big question people want to know is, okay, I'm a freelancer. How do I know how much to charge for what I do? Because this is a new world to me. I don't know what people are willing to pay. Am I underbidding myself if I'm
Yes.
underbidding what they're willing to pay?
Yes, excellent question. This is one of the hardest things. And a lot of people bounce out of freelancing because they have an unrealistic expectation on the high end of what they should be paid for freelancing, or they bid jobs too low. They say, well, this is the perfect job, so I'll bid it really low so I get this and I get some experience and I have a client. Generally, and the Upwork system is particularly good for this, because if you're paying the $15 a month fee, you can see the bid range on the jobs that you're bidding. And for a well-qualified person for that particular job, we recommend bidding between 10 and 20% below the mid-range of that job, and you'll be able to see what the mid-range is of the bidding. So it's fairly formulaic. A little bit of it, whether it's 10 or 20%, depends on your skill set and the match of the job and that kind of thing. But the thing to realize is that most of the jobs that you do on these networks are going to initially be less than you're used to making, because they're what we call audition jobs. Most freelance buyers don't just want to hire you to do one job. They have ongoing requirements, and they're basically interviewing multiple freelancers to see which one would be the best to do this same job for them on an ongoing basis. For example, we see lots of jobs where a company will hire 5 writers to write the exact same article, and when they receive those articles back, they're going to say, this one's no good, this one is okay, this one is really good. This is the person we'd like to hire to do 20 articles a year for our company newsletter, or whatever it might be. And then they will come back to you and negotiate your fees. So the first step is demonstrating to the client that you have the chops, if you will, to do exactly what it is they want done. And so that's the way we recommend approaching that, and knowing that the amount you do the first job for is not necessarily the amount that you do an ongoing series of projects of one kind or another.
And people need to be aware when they're looking at Upwork kind of stuff, when they're seeing that price range, they shouldn't get too worried about sort of the high end and the low end of that, because there's clearly some people from, I don't know how to phrase it, from small countries who are just
Right.
trying to get out there. And they're willing to do it for $1, let's say. And
Right.
if someone else is charging $1,000 for some project. So you have to look at really what's going on in the middle, because that's where the reality is happening.
Yes, completely. Yes, unusually high bids or unusually low bids will skew the range, obviously. And fortunately, most of the networks are doing things that sort of roll off what I would call low quality freelancers. There's some people that go in and, they might be at $100 job for $5, and some new freelance buyer will say, oh, wow, that's great, I'm going to hire that person for $5. Well, they realize that the person doesn't do the job well, and then they have to go back and recontact the job to somebody else. And so we suggest working only with sophisticated freelance buyers, and there's a way, different ways and different systems, but you can go in and you can actually see the buying history typically of the freelance buyer. And that's extremely helpful in understanding whether you have a good potential freelance buying client, or you have what we call a bottom fisher, the person that wants to buy 5 articles at 500 words each for $5. That's you'll see that out there. And some new members in our program say, oh gosh, I went onto the system and I looked at it and there's a bunch of low paying jobs. And until you have a strategy to search for those jobs that are going to be the ideal fit for you, it's like just opening up the classified section of the newspaper and looking at all the jobs. And those of us that look for jobs in newspapers, if we were in management or supervision or engineering, we never looked at all the jobs. We went to the section specifically on the jobs that we wanted to do and were qualified to do. And why a baby boomer would, completely forget that, that's how you do that. You have to learn how to sort these things in order to make sense out of them. I don't know, but that's a big thing that we teach in our program, is how to match your skill set and other domains of knowledge, like your knowledge of your career, your education, your degree, but your domains of knowledge even overlap into your, what I would call lifestyle things, hobbies. Are you interested in coin collecting and have had 20 years collecting coins? Or are you an avid fan of baseball and a lot about baseball? A company that has a baseball oriented website would want a person that knows a lot about baseball to do their proofreading, because they're going to catch more things. If an article said Roger Maris was the home run king in such and such a year, to somebody that's proofreading that but doesn't know who Roger Maris is and when he did that, they're going to miss that completely. So great opportunity for people that have domains of knowledge in their lifestyle, just living life, and also in their volunteer activities is another source of skill set.
I think it was 1961 for Roger Maris.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Very good.